Hello viewers and students. I welcome you in my YouTube channel Law Education Volunteer Dr. Kashinath Neharkar at lecture series on income tax laws. Friends, in this lecture we are going to discuss the distribution of taxing power under Indian Constitution. Friends, in a previous lecture we have discussed some constitutional provisions relating to taxation or tax, and this is next part of constitutional provisions, but here we are going to discuss these provision under heading distribution of taxing power under Indian constitutions. But friends, before that, please subscribe this channel and please press bell icon to receive further notifications. So friends, let's start with today's lecture. Friends, as you know, Indian Constitution is a supreme law. It is a supreme law in India. It is a law of land. It is the highest law in India. So you know, the Constitution is a foundation and source of power to legislate taxing laws. The central government, state government, or whether a local government, all these governments, they get the power to impose tax only from Indian Constitution. So the source to impose the tax, source to collect the tax, that is derived from Indian Constitution. So let me see how that source is derived from Indian Constitution. Friends, the taxes levied by central government, taxes levied by state government, so all these taxes are levied as per the constitutional provisions only. Say the authority to levy tax is derived from Constitution. Friend, we are going to discuss what is the distribution of taxing power between central government and state government under Indian Constitution. As you know, in Indian Constitution, there is a separate part that deals with legislative relations between central government and state government. How the relations should be there, what relations ought to be, that is provided by this part. And article 245, 246, 248, these are very important articles in Indian Constitution that deals with the legislative relations and distribution of legislative competence between central government and state government. We must see. Firstly, we are going to discuss what is article 245 of Indian Constitution, and accordingly article 245 of Indian Constitution is extent of laws made by parliament and legislature of state. So yes, both the government, whether central government or state government, they have right, they have competence to make various types of laws, and such subject matters on which they can make the law, these are provided by Constitution itself, and these subject matters are provided by 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. But though both the government have power to enact the laws, what shall be the extent of their operation, the territorial or whatsoever, it is specifically or clearly stated by article 245. And according to this article, subject to provisions of Indian Constitution, Parliament may make laws for the whole of India or any part of territory, and legislature of state may make laws for whole or any part of state. So as you know, the central government can make law for whole of India, or it can make law for any part in India also. Similarly, the territorial competence of state government is also provided by article 245, and accordingly state governments can make law only for their territory, that is territory or any part of their territory. This is what the territorial competence that is provided by Article 245. Then Article 245 further provides that no law made by Parliament shall be deemed to be invalid on the ground that it would have extraterritorial operation. So it means the central government can have the extraterritorial operation also. Even the central government's law can be applied even outside the territories. It can be applicable on sea ships in a sea within the competence of Indian government. So it have extraterritorial application also. Then we must see what is Article 246. See, actually Article 246 is related to distribution of subject matters on which the central government can make law or on state government can make law. This is the competence of making laws. This is provided. So Article 246 must be read with 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. 7th schedule and Article 246. So subject matters means those subjects, those issues on which the government can make the law. So the particular subject matter is given, and again Constitution provides that which is that government who can make law on that particular topic. So firstly we must see what is Article 246. Friends, Indian Constitution distributes legislative powers including taxation between Parliament of India and state government. So as you know, the subject matters are distributed between central government and a state government, and these subjects which are provided by 7th schedule of Indian Constitution, it includes those subjects which are related to taxation also. So the taxation powers are also distributed between central government and state government. So therefore we must see what is Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution. As you know, therefore I have already told you that Article 246 must be read with 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. So 7th schedule of Indian Constitution provides three lists of subjects. Subjects means those issues, those matters on which the government can make the law. Therefore the first list is called as a union list, and it consists of those subjects, those subject matters on which only central government can make the law. It means the state governments cannot make law on any subject which is mentioned in a central list. Then it provides second list, that is also called as state list, and it contains those subjects on which every state in India can enact the law for their territory, and the central government cannot make law on these subjects. And third list is called as a concurrent list, where both the government, central government as well as the state governments have competence to make law on subject matters that are mentioned in, and these acts can work concurrently, simultaneously. But where the state the provision from state government and provision from parliament act from parliament that comes into across, if there any conflict arises between law enacted by state government and law enacted by central government or the parliament, the provisions of act enacted by parliament shall prevail. This is also an important doctrine that you must remember. See, now there is another important article that is related to distribution of powers, including distribution of taxing power. See, residuary powers of legislation. As I have already told you that all the subjects that can be distributed, all these subjects are distributed among between central government and state government. But even if any subject matter is not yet discussed, and if it is necessary to enact the law on that particular subject matter, that subject matter goes to the competence of central government, and that goes as a residuary power. What remain, that will come within the competence of central government. So the parliament has exclusive power to make any law with respect to any matter which is not mentioned in a central list, state list, or concurrent list, and such power shall include power of making any law imposing tax not mentioned by either of entries. But you must remember one thing, that here we are going to discuss or we are discussing the distribution of taxing power under Indian Constitution. Therefore, you must know that there is no any subject matter, taxing subject matter, which is provided in a concurrent list. So there are subject matters related to taxation in a union list and state list. So friends, now we are going to discuss which are those taxing powers, which are those subject matters which are mentioned in a union list or the central list, on which only central government can make the law. We are going to discuss this in very brief, that are given in detail. So in union list there are 14 heads of taxation. It means the central government can make law on such a 14 heads. So friends, we are going to discuss all these one by one. So the first entry is entry number 82. First entry of union list is entry number 82, and that gives power to central government to make law on taxes on income other than agricultural income. So the income tax is imposed by central government only by getting power from this entry. So the Income Tax Act 1961 is enacted. So here this act is enacted to impose the tax on income, but this income does not include any income that is derived from agricultural activities. Then second entry is the duties of custom on export. Say custom duties, custom tax, that is also imposed by central government, that is by entry number 83, customs duties. Then accordingly the Custom Act is enacted. Then third entry is excise duty on tobacco and other goods manufactured in India. So tobacco and similar goods, but there are certain exceptions here also, because some excise duties are imposed by central government and some goods are left for state to impose the excise duty, excise tax, like the alcohol, etc., alcohol, opium, etc. But here you must remember that excise duty is also imposed by central government. This is by entry number 84. Then third entry is corporation tax, entry number 85, that gives power to central government to impose corporation tax. Corporation tax, what the taxes that are imposed upon companies, corporation, etc. Then next entry is entry number 86, that deals with the taxes on capital assets, but this capital asset does not include the agricultural land of individuals, etc. So what the capital assets excluding agricultural land, the tax will be imposed by the central government. The central government have power to impose tax upon capital assets. Agricultural lands are excluded because this right goes to state government. Then next entry is entry number 87, that gives power to central government to impose tax on estate duty in the form of properties, specifically the buildings, etc. Estate duty also can be imposed by central government. This is also one type of tax. Then entry number 88, that deals with the taxes on or duties on succession of property other than agricultural land. succession. When a person is going to succeed any or inherit any property from his father, mother, whosoever the relatives, in such circumstances also that transaction is also taxed. Inheritance transaction is also taxed by the central government, or the central government has a power to impose tax on such inheritance or succession. Then there is next entry, that is entry number 87, and which gives power to central government to impose tax, and that name of that tax is terminal taxes on goods or the passengers carried by railway, sea, air, etc. So the terminal taxes also can be imposed by central government. The subject matter is provided by entry number 89. Then next tax is or next subject matter is entry number 90, and that deals with taxes other than stamp duties on transaction in stock, etc. So such taxes also can be imposed by central government. So what the transaction take in SEBI market, etc., BSE, NSE, these are the share markets. So such transaction also can be taxed by tax through central governments. So friends, then next tax is the stamp duties in respect of exchange, etc. So such stamp duties also can be imposed by central government. Then friends, next tax is entry number 92, that gives power to central government to impose tax on sale or purchase of newspapers and on advertisements that are published. So the tax on newspaper, that is also the subject matter within competence of central government. Then taxes on sale or purchase of goods other than newspapers, where such sale purchase takes place in the course of interstate trade, commerce, etc. So see, the as actually the sales or sale of goods, it is the subject matter that is mentioned within the competence of state. But in case where that sale transaction causes the movement of goods from one state to another state, that sale transaction is called as interstate sale transaction, and such transaction will be taxed by the central government. And regarding that, earlier the Central Sales Tax Act was enacted. Now the GST is there to deal with all such transaction. Then next one is entry number 92B. This entry is relating to taxes on consignment of goods in the course of interstate sale transaction, trade, commerce, etc. Consignment, transfer of goods, etc., for the purpose of business, etc. And last entry is all the residuary types of taxes which are not mentioned in a state list, concurrent list, and the union list. All subject matters will be dealt by the central government. So friends, this is the union list, this is the central list, which contains almost 14 subject matters where the central government can make the law. Accordingly, there are some of entries where the government have made the laws, and even though the government have power to impose tax by enacting such laws, it is again total freedom of government to levy tax, to enact law, to levy tax on each and every head that is mentioned by the government. So now we are moving towards the second list, that is state list, and now we are going to discuss which are those subjects which are mentioned in a state list, or the second list, on which the state governments can make the law. Friends, there are 19 near about 19 entries here. It is printing mistake, you can see. So we are going to discuss which are those entries on which the state governments can make law. Friends, the first is land revenue. This land revenue, land is the subject matter within the competence of state government. So the tax on land in the name of land revenue, that will be imposed by state government. Secondly, second tax is tax on agricultural income. While discussing entry number 82, we have discussed that central government have power to impose tax upon income other than agricultural income, and this agricultural income will be taxed by central government, state government, by entry number 46 of state list. Then next entry is duties in respect of succession to agricultural land. So when we inherit the agricultural land from our father or ancestors, at that time the state government have a right to impose tax on such a transactions also. It is immaterial that whether the government has enacted law to impose tax or not. It is a different thing, but the state has a power to enact law. Then entry number 48, that deals with estate duty in respect of agricultural land. So if the agricultural land is considered as a estate, the government has the power to impose tax upon it as estate duty. Then next is taxes on lands, buildings, etc. This is also the competence of state. This is within the competence of state. State can make law to levy and collect tax on lands, buildings which are not agricultural land, which are within the municipal corporation or etc. towns, etc. Then next entry is entry number 50, that is taxes on mineral right. See, as the land is subject matter within the competence of state, similarly all the incidental benefits of land, that also comes within the competence of states. Therefore the mineral rights also can be taxed. You can say mines, mineral, there are many things which we can get inside the land. Water, petroleum, diesel, what are the different things, your stone, that is also called as a mineral. The government can make a law on such mineral rights, use of rights. The next entry is entry number 51, that is duties of excise. It means this is excise duty. Excise means nothing but the production tax, we can say. So when you manufacture a particular thing, at that time, because you have manufactured that particular product to sell it into market to satisfy the human wants, at that instance also state government have power to impose, to levy and collect tax. So this tax also can be imposed by state, and this the state government can impose tax upon manufacture of alcohol or alcoholic liquors for human consumption, opium, Indian hemp, narcotic drugs, narcotics, etc. As when discussing entry in a central list, we have discussed the excise tax. The central government can impose excise tax on manufacturing of every goods in India except certain things, and these certain things are left for state to impose excise tax. Then next entry is friends, taxes on entry of goods. See, you might have known about the entry taxes when a particular product, a vehicle with particular product, goods, services that enters into a particular territories, or we can say boundaries of districts, etc. At that time the entry taxes are imposed. So entry taxes also can be imposed by the state government. Even the local governments have a right to impose entry taxes. There are some octroi taxes, etc. So entry number 52 gives power to state government to impose entry taxes. The next tax is the taxes on consumption of sale of electricity. Specifically, specific entries given to allow state government to make law to impose tax upon consumption of electricity. Then taxes on sale or purchase of goods other than newspaper. So this is the entry that gives state government a power to make law to impose tax upon sale transaction that are effected within the territory of state. What the goods that are sold, what the transactions relating to movable things, sale, purchase, etc., that will be taxed as per this entry. But the state government have no power to impose tax upon sale of newspaper, because that is the entry which is within competence of central government. Then friends, next is taxes on advertise other than the advertisement in a newspaper, because these advertisements includes that advertisements that are made nearby the roads, on buildings, etc. Various types of advertisements we can see whenever we enter into any cities, etc. There we can find big banners, flexes, etc., where the advertisements are made, and the state government have right to impose tax upon such advertisements or the persons who are doing business of that advertisement. Then entry number 56 we must see. This entry number 56 that gives power to state government to impose tax on carrying of goods and services by roadways and waterways within territory of that state. So this is also the power to state government. The next entry is taxes on vehicles suitable for the use of roads, as we purchase vehicles for our private purpose, commercial purpose, or what the business purpose. So this the government have power to levy and collect taxes on sale purchase of such vehicles that can run on a road. So we can say road taxes also there, and there can be different kinds of taxes that can be imposed upon sale purchase of such vehicles also. Then next entry is entry number 58, that is taxes on animals and boats. Those persons who possess such animals, that is in other areas, so within the territory of state, and the boats we can see in in the areas like Konkan, etc. There we can see many people own the boats. On such ownership of animal, boat, etc., the state government have a right to levy tax for the ownership of animals, boat. Again, I am telling you that it is immaterial whether in fact the government has enacted law to impose tax upon animal or not. It is different thing. But if government thinks so, government can make the law, government can impose the tax, because constitution gives such a right to state governments. Then next entry is entry number 59, that is toll taxes. We can see all the toll taxes are imposed by the state government. Then entry number 60, that gives power to state government to impose tax upon professions, occupations, etc. Professional tax is enacted in Tax Act is enacted in Maharashtra to impose tax on a professions, and maximum tax of rupees 2500 has to be paid by such professionals, etc. Some provision is already made there. Then next is capitation fees. That is also one tax that can be imposed by the state government. Next is taxes on luxuries, what the luxuries we use, consume, etc., luxurious things, all that will be taxed in the name of luxuries. You have to pay a special tax. So this is entry number. And the last entry is stamp duty in respect of documents other than specified in the provisions of list. So friends, this is the exhaustive list of subject matters that are included into the state list. So the central government can make law on all those subject matter, taxing subject matters which are mentioned in a union list. As already we have discussed, the central governments can make laws on all those subject matters which are mentioned in state list. These are the 19 entries on which the state government can make laws. So friends, so these are a very important this is very important topic for the taxation purpose, constitutional purpose. So friends, this is not the end of constitutional provisions. After this lecture we are going to discuss a special article which describes the principle that no tax shall be levied and collected except authority of law. So friends, do join me with next lecture. So if you like this video, please like, it, share it with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe this channel, and please click the bell icon to receive further notification. Thank you friends.